PSI is awesome. It's one of my favorite magic systems to use in any RPG. It's simple to understand, feels less generic than magic, and the attacks just feel good to say. PK Fire! PK Freeze! PK Sunstorm! Sorry about the ear rape. My cat is looking at me funny right now. But while most of these attacks are fun to use and super helpful, some not so much. Some have a cool effect but either cost too much PP or are so inaccurate that it's not worth using them, while others are just plain bad. Not a lot per se, not nearly enough to make a top 10 list, so I'll only keep it to 5. Number 5, Hypnosis, a move that, while its effect isn't too bad, it's one of those moves that just never really works when you need it to. Its purpose is to cause enemies to fall asleep for a few turns, and it can be useful at the start of Earthbound, and especially Mother 1, against stronger enemies when Nessun and Ten are the only people in the party. But after that, Hypnosis loses all use, because for one, strong enemies can easily be killed once you get more party members. 2, you get paralysis, which is dozens of times more useful. 3, enemies aren't asleep for very long. And 4, it never freaking works. Sure, not too bad compared to some other moves in RPGs like Zap Cannon, and it works good on certain enemies, but at the end of the day, I really never want to use it in fear of wasting a turn. Number 4, PK Flash Alpha. Yeah, I know I listed Flash as one of the best PSI in my top 10 best PSI video, but there I was talking about its later variants, like Beta, Gamma, and Omega. Flash Alpha, though, is an entirely different story. It's the only variant that can't instantly defeat foes, can't paralyze foes, only has a 15% chance of confusing a foe, and an 85% chance of making them cry. What does making them cry do, you may ask, if you're unfamiliar with the mechanics of Mother 2? Well, it lowers accuracy of physical attacks, and that's pretty much it. This can be useful, but as soon as Ness learns paralysis, it's completely pointless, because when an enemy's paralyzed, they can't use physical attacks at all. Oh, and Ness learns Paralysis Alpha before Flash Alpha, so needless to say, I hardly ever use this move in my playthroughs. Number 3. Darkness. Imagine Flash Alpha, only take away its ability to hit all enemies and have 15% chance of confusion. Darkness was short-lived, only being usable in the first game of the series, where honestly, I have never used it outside of making that all-in-one PSI video. Yes, lowering your opponent's accuracy can be useful, but so many of them die in a few blows anyway, and with this game not having a lot of bosses, and it being the only one who can use it, her not learning it until level 20 while learning Paralysis at level 15 and Freeze Gamma at 21, there's not really much use for it. Number 2, Telepathy. It was hard choosing between this and number 1, because while this PSI is without a doubt less helpful, it's still at least a cool idea. You use it in a couple of places throughout the world of Mother 1, because like Darkness, it's only available in this game. You use it to read people's minds, communicate with this baby, summon an old man, and to enter Magic Hand. In battle though, it has no purpose, so think of Telepathy less like a move and more like an item you give someone or a vision scope. But Telepathy at least has some use. Number 1, however, not so much. Number 1. Quick Up, the most useless PSI in Mother history, and like the previous entries, this one's only in Earthbound Beginnings. As the name implies, it raises the speed of one party member, which I have never found useful in one fight in a whole entire game, since your party has always been faster against weaker enemies, and it's not really worth wasting a turn to use against stronger enemies that can kill you really fast. It could be useful against certain bosses, but this game has hardly any to begin with. Overall, my least used move in a whole series after maybe Darkness. On the flip side of things, what about some of the best PSI moves in the series? If you're interested in that, be sure to check out this video I made last summer where I discuss my favorite PSI in the Mother games, which will show up on the screen right now unless I'm too lazy to add, which I'll probably be. Anyway, with that, Happy New Year 2022 and Happy New Year to everyone. I'll see you all later.